Let's review and see what's being covered both in the Daily Nation and the Standard and other papers, and what's the biggest story. Now, joining me for that discussion, we have Gladys Boss-Sholei, who's the woman representative for Uasin County, Professor Michael Agwanda, as well as Irungu Kangata, Senator from Murang'a. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, we'll start off with the Daily Nation. How it's going the teacher's route. It's still clear of politics a bit, but of course we have some of that on the top page. But the biggest headline is July pay shock for teachers, and we're being told that pay slips indicating higher salaries were ready for dispatch 2 weeks ago. Then a court ruled against TSC in a dispute between the commission and NAT. Now teachers, the pawn in this game of might, are paying the price, and further details are given to us on page 4 of the Nation. I'll start with you, Senator. What do you feel about this one?
Thank you. For me, I think Mr. Sosion overstepped himself. He went to court and obtained a court order, which for me was a Pahig victory, which negates the gains that the teachers have obtained over the years.
Right.
And for me, I would blame him for taking a route which was not very strategic, because they have stayed all the gains that they have gotten through the CBA.
Okay, and we've been told this move means teachers may not get their enhanced salary for July as route between with NAT continues, and we're talking about 318,000, the number of teachers across the country whose pay slips have been withheld because of this bit of theft. Honorable Sholei, what do you feel about this one?
I think this is beginning to teach us a lesson.
Yeah.
I believe that the judges and the judiciary has to begin to try and refer some cases to mediation and arbitration. In fact, they are obligated, the judiciary is obligated by the Constitution to promote and encourage alternative dispute resolution system methods. Because sometimes when something will affect the country so drastically, you see, when you get a court order, the court order says either you do this or you do that, and it has to be implemented. But it leaves no room for negotiation. When you think about it, if we are talking about that number of teachers, this affects our children.
Yeah.
It affects students across the country. That's a huge population. And because if we think that the repercussions is so high, like in matters that deal with teachers and schools and students, then you do not want a drastic measure. Okay. You want to prefer to refer to arbitration, because then that way they can work out on a middle ground. Because when you go to court, you seek certain orders, and the court pronounces on what you have requested. So it either gives it to you or denies it. But the court will never give you that which you do not ask for. And sometimes the middle ground is what can only be achieved through arbitration or mediation, and never through a court order.
Middle ground might be the sweet spot in terms of this sort. And God forbid they go to the streets again and be singing Solidarity Forever, something that stalls the education.
It affects our children's education. And then not only that, remember, every time teachers go on the street, children are learning something from it, that they don't negotiate at a table, that you must actually take to the street. Yet taking to the street is a constitutional right, but it must be shown that it is a last resort. When all other methods of arbitration or trying to reach a solution has been taken, but it's becoming the order of the day. So we need to come back down, because our children copy the teachers.
And it being the order of the day might find it being less effective, because now it becomes the norm. Professor Agwanda, what do you feel about this one?
The supremacy battle between NAT and TSC should stop. In the interest of the peoples and in the interest of the citizens of this country. I think that supremacy is a little bit out of order. Even where sobriety need to prevail, even where a discussion need to take place, you still have the supremacy. And these court battles are eating into the budget of TSC and also eating into the budget of NAT. And this should be stopped henceforth. I really think that the Minister of Education, the new Minister of Education, Professor Margoha, need to rein on these two individuals. Otherwise, we're going to see battles after battles and after battles. And you're seeing that supremacy is getting a little bit personal. If you look at Mr. Sosyoung's court cases, and now he's been deregistered as a teacher, that simply means, NAT is also not sure whether they have a secretary general or not. This is what is hurting even the teachers, because sometimes it is the union's decisions that drives them to court, not really measured on the basis of the teacher's interest. And now they realize, whoa, the court ruling is now affecting it directly on something that they never sanctioned as an entire body of union of teachers. I think the supremacy must be looked into in the interest of this country and the interest of our people.
And do you support the idea of arbitration, as Honorable Shalik said?
I totally support it. However, the problem is the supremacy battle. The TAC boss feels, this is my docket, you have nothing to say. But NAT also feels, oh, this is our docket, you have nothing to say. And then where do they end to? These people could easily cross to one another, sit on a table and agree on some of these things without taking the money, taxpayers' money, to